Andre with Hammond Valve, and I'm here to show you some of our advanced machining processes. Our company does a great job in continually investing in their equipment to make our processes a lot more fast and accurate. This is a good example where a process where we would machine a gland for a valve, and it may have taken 3 or 4 operations with previous equipment in earlier days. And with this type of equipment, with multi-spindle, multi-turret live tooling machines, we can now do things that took 2 or 3 operations in the past, complete 1 operation, a lot less time, and a lot less setup time. We have lots of shop floor areas for inspection to make sure that our parts are always going to be up to par. We keep all of our tools very near the machines to improve our setup times. We also manufacture a great deal of our tooling right here in-house. So if we want to make a part more quickly, we would actually manufacture a tool to specifically work for that product. This would be a good example of some of the customized tooling. This would be a customized porting tool to cut a swing check valve body. It's all made in-house. The tool body is made in-house. The carbide is brazed on in-house and cut on our wire EDMs in our tool room. You can see lots of other versions of this. We have thousands and thousands of our own tools in stock to make a lot of our product here. It's another piece of equipment that we've recently acquired within the past year. This is a more advanced vertical machining center. You can see we got various setups on here, quick change setups. Usually we can set one of these things up in about an hour and a half to run pretty much any job that we need to run. Also has full 4th axis capabilities on this machine. Like our cutting tools, we keep all of our jaws and other setup materials that we need basically right next to the machine tools. You can see this is a wall of jaws, which we also design in-house and a lot of times manufacture in-house as well to hold all of our various parts that we make here. We also have various tombstones here that go into the machines that hold the parts so that the machines can bring the tools to the parts. And these particular things are adaptable to almost every machine that we have. So if one machine were to go down, we are able to very quickly transfer that job over to another machine with just a few adapters. This is another good example of something that we've invested in quite recently. It's a Mitutoyo computer-controlled CNC CMM. Machine helps us very accurately measure some of our parts that are into the tenths, into the lower tenths in millions. So this has a scanning head. There's lasers inside the scanning head here, and they hit a mirror on a sensor. What it does is it knows at the angle that mirror hits, and then it feels the pressure. And this thing can take, when you'll see the scanning thing coming up, this thing can take basically just thousands and thousands of hits per inch, and then accurately construct that into an approximation of the part so that we can make sure that we're measuring it properly. So now it's actually doing a scanning motion. So it's actually keeping contact with the part the whole time. It's not just tapping it. It's keeping contact, and it's watching that sensor, and it's watching the lasers bounce off a mirror inside there to know how much deflection that probe is getting all the way around. And he's probably taken, I don't know, 1,000 hits or something like that on that diameter.
About 750 on that one.
Take them into the tolerance that we need, but this machine proves it. This machine says, yes, you did make it to what you wanted to make it to. These are custom trunnion machines, multi-spindle machines made especially for Milwaukee Valve. These help us manufacture parts very quickly. So when we have a job that has a lot of run quantity to it, we would run something like this. In combination with some of the tooling that we showed you earlier, where we make the tooling in here that allows us to cut multiple facets on a part with one shot. We would use something like that on this machine, where we would cut everything with one shot on this. We'd have another shot coming in here to cut that. At the same time, while something's being worked on this end, this machine's holding it like this, something's being worked on the other end at the same time. There's eight jaw positions in this machine, and it goes, and it actually, the turret moves around and brings the part to the spindles. So the first cycle is quite long as it goes all the way around, but then after that you're getting a part every 10, 12 seconds. So the benefit on these is the larger runs. The setup times are a little longer, but the larger runs are where we really shine on a machine like this. This here is another multi-spindle, multi-turret live tooling lathe with gang tooling. It's a Swiss style lathe. It's a good contrast again between old and new. This is very new technology. Some of our older technology is right over here on the other side of the wall. This is how we used to do a lot of this stuff years ago. They still work very well for running massive quantities of parts very quickly, but their setup times are very long. We're talking 12 hours sometimes for a setup time. Where a machine like this, we can set it up in an hour, hour and a half. And we can make parts that, once again, used to take an operation over there, another operation to mill these surfaces, and then a third operation to grind a nice finish on here, and on this stem. So this machine is capable of doing all of that in a very short amount of time and get a good enough finish on the part that we don't have to grind it anymore. As you can see, great care is taken in between every single operation to protect all the parts after we put that nice, beautiful machine finish on here, that it doesn't get damaged on its way to the next, to assembly or the next operation. Here we have another example of a multi-spindle, multi-turret live tooling machine, and it's doing a very similar type of deal. This particular one is cutting this out of a round piece of bar stock and threading it and milling the hex onto the end of it. So we don't even have to buy hex bar stock like we would have had to do years ago. We can buy round and we can make the hex out of it. The machine is still fast and efficient enough that we can afford to cut that extra material off of it. So as you probably looked at some of the other video, we have our own pattern shop internally here to make our patterns for our foundry. And this is our tool room. And here is where we manufacture a lot of our cutting tools, which you might have seen, and our jaws. And if we need any modifications or we have any trouble with some of our existing fixturing, jaws, tooling, even some of our production stuff or equipment, we have the facilities right here in-house, including a brand new CNC vertical machining center and CNC lathes in here that we can facilitate the production of the rest of our product here. We don't have to go to the outside and ask them to fix some of our stuff. We can fix it fast and now and get it done. So this inspection machine allows us to check runout and dimensions on our cutting tools. We can also use it to preset our tools for our CNC machines, but in this case we're using it in our tool room to actually check the dimensions of our finished tool that we made, or in-process tool that we're making, so that it can cut our parts precisely. I'm Andre with Hammond Valve, and it's been a pleasure showing you some of our machining processes today.